Picture this scene. It's Tuesday morning. You open your banking app and see a headline that reads, "Experts predict an imminent recession." Your heart beats a little faster. You think about your job, your savings, your mortgage. You decide, prudently, to postpone that planned purchase. You cancel that trip. You cut back on expenses. You go to the supermarket and notice prices have gone up again. People talk in line. They say the worst is coming. You get home, turn on the TV, and every economist is repeating the same thing. A perfect storm is brewing. What if I told you that storm, that economic monster everyone fears, only exists because you and millions like you believe it exists? Today, you are going to discover the most powerful weapon in economics, a phenomenon that is not in central banks or governments, but inside your own mind, the self-fulfilling prophecy. And in the next few seconds, you will see how this simple psychological mechanism creates devastating inflation, paralyzing recessions, and bank runs that topple century-old empires out of thin air. This is not abstract economic theory. This is black magic applied to markets. A trick of the collective mind that turns fear into reality. It works like this. A widespread belief about the economic future changes people's behavior in the present, and that new behavior is exactly what makes that belief about the future come true. It's a perfect loop, a mirror that reflects the monster you yourself projected. Let's take an everyday example in your own neighborhood. Rumor has it that the best baker in the neighborhood, Old Frank, is going to close. People talk about it at the market. Poor Frank, with the rise in flour prices. You, who adore his bread, decide to stop by and buy an extra loaf to freeze, just in case. Your neighbor does the same, and the neighbor next door does too. Suddenly, there's a huge line. Demand for Frank's bread skyrockets on a Tuesday afternoon, something totally abnormal. Frank, startled by this buying fever, thinks, "They know something I don't. Maybe I should close." The business is becoming unpredictable. He raises prices to manage the overwhelming demand. People see him raise prices and think, he's preparing to close. It's the last batch. They buy even more. Until Frank, exhausted, confused, and convinced the market has gone mad, makes the decision nobody wanted, but that everyone with their actions brought about. He closes. The prophecy was fulfilled. The neighborhood lost its best bakery. The cause? A rumor and the fear that the rumor was true. Now, take this same mechanism to a national scale, to a global scale, and you will have the secret engine of economic crises. Inflation is perhaps the clearest and most painful example. When people believe prices will rise tomorrow, they act today. You buy now what you will need in 6 months. You purchase durable goods, stock up on non-perishable food, exchange your money for real things before that money is worth less. This massive, anticipated demand concentrated in the present produces exactly what everyone feared: scarcity and price increases. Merchants see everything selling quickly and adjust their prices upward. Workers, seeing prices rise, demand higher wages to maintain their purchasing power. Companies with higher labor costs raise prices even more to maintain their margins. The vicious cycle is in motion. The expectation of inflation turns into real inflation. Not because there are fewer products in the world, but because we all ran to buy them at the same time, guided by a ghost we ourselves summoned. I recall the hyperinflation in Zimbabwe, or the historical cases in the Weimar Republic. What happened? People lost faith in money. They believed that bill tomorrow wouldn't be worth the paper it was printed on. So, as soon as they received their pay, they rushed to spend it. They literally ran. They converted money into any tangible object: a chair, a sack of rice, a can of paint. This mass race to get rid of money accelerated its devaluation to the point of absurdity. The prophecy was clear. This money is worthless. And the collective action to avoid it was the guarantee that it would, indeed, be worthless. But let's talk about the most terrifying one: recessions. A recession is, technically, 2 consecutive quarters of decline in gross domestic product. It sounds cold, technical. In real life, it's unemployment, shattered dreams, family businesses disappearing, despair. What if many of these recessions begin not with a real shock, like a war or a pandemic, but with a story, with a tale we tell ourselves? The media announce, leading indicators suggest a slowdown. Fearful companies freeze hiring. They invest less. Consumers, seeing this corporate break, get scared and spend less. Sales fall. Companies, seeing their sales drop, confirm their worst fears. They cut staff, cancel projects. Unemployment rises. Consumption plummets further. The prophecy of the slowdown materializes into a deep recession. We have danced to the beat of a drum we ourselves are playing. The bank run is the pure and dramatic crystallization of this principle. It's the movie scene where everyone runs to the bank at the same time. It works with brutally simple logic. If all depositors believe the bank might fail, and everyone goes to withdraw their money to protect themselves, the bank will fail. Because banks don't keep your money in a vault with your name on it. They use it to make loans, to invest. They only have a fraction available in cash. If everyone claims their share at the same time, the bank runs out of liquidity and collapses. This happened in 1929. It happened with Northern Rock in 2007. The belief in the bankruptcy causes the behaviors, the mass withdrawal, that provoke the bankruptcy. The bank could have been perfectly healthy on Monday morning. On Tuesday, after the news of liquidity problems, often a rumor, hit the press, it was already dead, murdered by the collective mind. And here comes the controversial reflection, the one that will test everything you believe about how the world works. What if the economy, at its most essential core, is not a science of numbers, but a science of narratives? What if economic cycles are not inevitable forces of nature, like the seasons, but stories we tell ourselves, and that, by telling them with enough conviction, we make them true? This questions the authority of economic gurus, the analysts with ridiculously expensive ties who appear on screen. Because their forecast, once issued, ceases to be an innocent prediction. It becomes a script that millions of people may start to follow. When a very famous economist says a recession is coming, they are not just describing a possible future. They are creating the conditions for that future. Their word has the power of a magic wand, a power few acknowledge and for which almost no one takes responsibility. Think about recent years. How many times have you heard, inflation is transitory? Or its opposite, inflation is spiraling out of control. Each of those headlines is not a simple report. It is a spell cast into the mental ecosystem of consumers, entrepreneurs, and bankers. And everyone reacts. The economy thus becomes a battlefield of competing prophecies. Central banks know this. That's why they don't just raise or lower interest rates. They devote enormous resources to communication, to guiding expectations. They try, desperately, to control the narrative. Because they know that if they can get people to believe inflation will fall, half their job is already done. The interest rate is the hammer, but communication is the magnet that aligns all the iron particles before the strike. This leads us to a disturbing and deeply human conclusion. We are architects of our own economic reality. We are not just passive victims of abstract market forces. With our expectations, our fears, our confidence, or our distrust, we vote every day in a silent plebiscite that determines whether the economy grows or contracts. The next time you hear alarming economic news, stop for a second. Ask yourself, am I receiving information about the future, or am I being given the script to create it? Am I observing reality, or am I being invited to participate in a collective ritual that will generate that reality? The power of the self-fulfilling prophecy is a reminder of our collective responsibility. The economy is not something that happens. It is something we do. With every conversation at the coffee shop, with every postponed purchase decision, with every like on a doom-laden headline, we are either adding a brick to the wall of the next crisis or helping to build the bridge to recovery. Now, I want to know what you think. Do you believe we are puppets of economic narratives? Or do we have the real power to change them? Have you seen any small example of a self-fulfilling prophecy in your daily life? Discussion, debate, is the only thing that can break the spell of a toxic narrative. That's why I ask you to leave your comment below. Tell me your perspective, your experience. Give this video a like if you believe understanding this is key to taking control of your economic future. And subscribe, because we will continue exploring together the invisible forces that truly move our world. The psychology of markets, the mind of the crowds, the secrets behind the numbers. This is only the beginning.